Hong Kong anti-corruption body arrests 8 over deadly fire. And also Airbus issues major A320 recall, requests modifications to 6,000 planes. Good afternoon, Salam Malaysia Badani, I'm Brenda Lepal. Hong Kong's anti-graft body has arrested 8 more people in connection with a fire that ripped through a high-rise apartment complex, killing at least 128 people, with 200 still missing. Those arrested included an engineering consultant, a scaffolding subcontractor, and an intermediary. Authorities said they had concluded rescue operations at the Wang Fuk Court complex in the northern district of Tai Po. They warn, however, that the death toll may still rise.
我哋相信最初起火嘅位置係宏昌閣低層外邊嘅嗰啲嘅圍網，其後呢係由於燃燒咗嗰啲發泡膠板，火勢迅速呢係向上蔓延，伸延到去多個嘅樓層。 並喺短時間內咧，係波及咗宏福苑其他6座嘅樓宇。大火咧係引燃咗貼喺嗰啲窗門上面嘅發泡膠板，令到玻璃爆破，令到火勢咧係急速增強，並且迅速蔓延到咧入到室內嘅。
Tang also said fire alarms in the complex had not been working properly. The Independent Commission Against Corruption said it had launched a task force to investigate possible corruption in the renovation project at the complex after police arrested 3 people on Thursday. On a later note, Hong Kong began a 5-day mourning period on Saturday after 128 people were killed in fires at a high-rise apartment complex, with 200 still missing in the city's worst fire in nearly 80 years. In central Hong Kong, Chief Executive John Lee and other officials observed 3 minutes of silence for the victims at 8 a.m. local time. Meanwhile, the flags of China and Hong Kong were flown at half-mast. Hours before that, citizens placing flowers near the charred shell of Wang Fuk Court, the residential complex that burned for more than 40 hours. Authorities said they had concluded rescue operations at the Wang Fuk Court complex in the northern district of Tai Po, but warned the death toll may still rise. Several airlines announced delayed or cancelled flights following an Airbus alert. Up to 6,000 operational A320 aircraft may require upgrades. Airbus instructed its clients to take immediate precautionary action after evaluating a technical malfunction on board a JetBlue flight in October. It said intense solar radiation may corrupt data critical to the functioning of flight controls. It further said a significant number of A320 family aircraft currently in service may be affected. A source close to the issue said replacing the software will take a few hours on most planes, but for some 1,000 aircraft, the process will take weeks. Air France already cancelled 35 flights, while Colombian airline Avianca said 70% of its fleet had been impacted by a technical issue in the European plane maker's software. On 30th October, a JetBlue-operated A320 aircraft encountered an in-flight control issue due to a computer malfunction. On a later note, AirAsia Aviation Group Limited has begun implementing a mandatory software rollback on its Airbus A320 family aircraft. This is in line with the urgent airworthiness directive issued by certification authorities. The airline said the directive does not impact its A330 fleet, and it is prioritizing the swift execution of the required changes. The company will adjust its flights operations as necessary to ensure compliance. Its Group Chief Executive Officer Bo Lingham said the carrier aims to complete the process within 48 hours while minimizing disruptions. He hopes for all guests' understanding, as the mandated measures are essential in upholding the highest standards of operational safety. Israeli forces killed at least 13 people in an operation in southern Syria. It was Israel's deadliest attack on the country since Bashar al-Assad's overthrow last year. Since an opposition coalition overthrew longtime ruler Assad in December last year, Israel has conducted hundreds of strikes on Syria's military arsenal as well as incursions into the country. The Syrian Health Ministry reported 13 dead and 24 others wounded in the Israeli operation. The Syrian Foreign Ministry condemned the operation as a war crime and accused Israel of wanting to ignite the region. According to a local official, Israeli forces raided the village to capture 3 men, sparking clashes. Following the fighting, Israeli forces shelled the area with artillery and drones. United Nations Deputy Special Envoy for Syria, Najat Rochdi, condemned Israel's attack, calling it a grave and unacceptable violation of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Head of the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitor, Rami Abdul Rahman, said the operation was the deadliest incursion since Israel began conducting operations outside the buffer zone in southern Syria. Turkish authorities have taken crews off 2 oil tankers in the Black Sea after explosions and fires, suggesting they may have been hit by devices. The Directorate General of Maritime Affairs said the Kairos, which was empty and en route to the Russian port of Novorossiysk, caught fire 28 nautical miles off the Turkish coast due to external causes. It added all 25 crew members are safe and sound. Flames and thick black smoke were visible at the bow of the Gambian-flagged vessel. No sea pollution was immediately reported. The Directorate said a second oil tanker, the Virat, reported being hit approximately 35 nautical miles away without specifying the nature of the impact. It said rescue teams and a cargo vessel were sent to the scene. The 20 crew members are also safe, while thick smoke was detected in the engine room. The 2 tankers are under Western sanctions for transporting oil from Russian ports despite an embargo imposed after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. A UN committee has urged Israel to set up an independent investigatory commission to probe claims of torture of Palestinians. It also warned the situation had gravely intensified since the start of the Gaza war. In a report published after regular review of Israel, the committee decried a range of policies adopted by Israel in the course of its continued unlawful presence in the occupied Palestinian territory. It warned that it risks leading to cruel, inhuman or degrading living conditions for the Palestinian population. The experts called on Israel to establish an independent, impartial and effective ad hoc investigatory commission to investigate all allegations of ill treatment committed during the current armed conflict. They added Israel should also prosecute those responsible, including superior officers, and ensure the immediate entry of necessary humanitarian aid into Gaza. During the review conducted in Geneva earlier this month, committee rapporteur Peter Vedel Kessing said the experts received description of what appears to be systematic and widespread torture of Palestinians, including children. And up next, Ukraine's top peace negotiator quits amidst corruption probe.
Tutup tingkap dan pintu untuk kekal dingin dan lebih jimat.
Welcome back. Russia is considering banning popular messaging service WhatsApp, accusing it of failing to prevent crime and urge its tens of millions of users to switch to domestic alternatives. Russia blocked users from making calls on the platform in August, part of a broader crackdown on Western-owned social media. Russian communications watchdog Roskomnadzor said it could ban the application completely unless it complies fully with Russian law. WhatsApp is one of the two most popular messaging services in Russia alongside Telegram. Moscow wants both messengers to provide access to data upon requests from law enforcement, for fraud probes and for investigating activities that Russia describes as terrorists. It has also encouraged users to switch to Max, a domestic messaging service that lacks end-to-end encryption, requiring that it be pre-installed on all new smartphones and tablets. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has removed his powerful chief of staff and top negotiator, Andriy Yermak. This is after detectives raided his house as part of a sweeping corruption probe. Yermak was supposed to negotiate on behalf of Ukraine at peace talks in the US this weekend, but that plan is now out of the window.
Відбудеться перезавантаження Офісу президента України. Керівник Офісу Андрій Єрмак написав заяву про відставку. Я вдячний Андрію за те, що українська позиція в переговорному треку завжди була ним представлена саме так, як і має бути. Завжди це була патріотична позиція. Але я хочу, щоб не було чуток і спекуляцій. Що стосується нового керівника Офісу, завтра я проведу консультації з тими, хто може очолити цю інституцію.
Investigators from the National Anti-Corruption Agency and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office raided Yermak's apartment as part of an investigation. They, however, did not reveal the purpose, and Yermak said he was cooperating fully. Yermak has been accused of involvement in a $100 million kickback scheme in the strategic energy sector, uncovered by investigators earlier this month. Northwestern University agreed to pay $75 million to the federal government as part of a deal with the Trump administration to restore millions in frozen federal research dollars. The university said on Friday the agreement would end probes by the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Education of the school's compliance with anti-discrimination laws. The deal would also permanently close all pending probes by the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division on the university's compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act's prohibition against discrimination based on race in admission. How Northwestern expects federal funds will start flowing within days and be fully restored within 30 days. The Trump administration in April froze nearly $800 million in research funding for Northwestern after Republicans in the House of Representatives accused the university of not doing enough to address anti-Semitism, including during campus protests against the Gaza war. Lawyers for ex-Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has filed a new appeal requesting the annulment of his coup plotting trial, which saw him sentenced to 27 years in prison. The defense is requesting the annulment of the criminal process and for Bolsonaro be acquitted 3 days after the Supreme Court ordered Bolsonaro to begin serving his prison term. Bolsonaro was tried and convicted by a 5-member section of the Supreme Court. His lawyers are currently appealing to the full 11-member court for it to throw out his entire trial. The defense petition said the unfair conviction imposed on Bolsonaro must be submitted for the scrutiny of the full chamber of the Federal Supreme Court so that his innocence is recognized and declared. It was not immediately clear if the appeal can proceed with a chance of success. The smaller court section that convicted Bolsonaro and rejected an initial appeal said all avenues for such challenges had been exhausted. Bolsonaro was convicted in September over a scheme to stop Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva from taking office as president after winning the 2022 election. In other news, SpaceX delayed Transporter 15 rideshare mission lifted off Friday, carrying a packed fleet of 140 small satellites into orbit from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. The flight came 2 days after SpaceX scrubbed the mission around the time liquid oxygen load was supposed to start on the rocket's superstage. Liftoff occurred at about 1:45 p.m. local time from Vandenberg Space Launch Complex 4E. The mission continues SpaceX increasing frequency of rideshare launches and follows on the heels of the late summer liftoff of the Transporter 14 flight, which delivered dozens of CubeSats, tech demos and research craft into low Earth orbit. Topping the Transporter 15 stack, a position referred to as the cake topper by SpaceX, was the Thermosat 8 satellite from the Taiwan Space Agency. The satellite is the first in a planned 8 satellite constellation consisting of optical remote sensing spacecraft. One of the benefits of the rideshare program is it offers payload providers multiple avenues to get their spacecraft on a trip to space for a reduced cost from a dedicated rocket launch. And in sports, Iran to boycott World Cup draw over US visa issues. Stay tuned.
Sukan Sea Thailand 2025.
Jangan lupa saksikannya hanya di RTM. Yahoo!
Semangatnya sudah terasa. Nantikannya hanya di RTM. Penyiar Rasmi.
We begin with local sports news. The 2025 Men's Junior Hockey World Cup in India opens another new chapter between Malaysia and Austria in the Group E clash today. On paper, the advantage favours the young Tigers based on their World Cup experience, but the threat posed by the European side should not be taken lightly. Both teams have met only once before, in the 2016 edition in Lucknow, which ended 2-2. Austria finished the campaign in the 17-18 place, while Malaysia placed 19. In the 2025 edition, their second meeting comes with added pressure, as the national squad is grouped with 3 European teams. According to head coach Nur Saiful Zaini Nasiruddin, Austria has its own strengths, but the young Tigers still have opportunities to control the game.
First game Austria dan juga England, kita mampu bermain mereka, tetapi kita nak menang. Ya, saya rasa bukan jauh sangat beza, walaupun mereka baik sikit. Ada di antara mereka baik, ada yang mereka tak baik. Contohlah, sebab remaja ni, dia macam tu, dia punya calculation dia lah. So kita cuba nak buat macam mana kita bermain, cuba jangan banyak mistake, especially dalam D. Kalau mereka dapat PC itu bahaya, sebab mereka memiliki ketinggian yang baik untuk skor gol. Goalkeeper mereka juga bagus contohlah, dan counter attack yang baik mereka ada. Mereka physical basic mereka boleh sampai ke D kita dengan senang. Jangkauan mereka lebih baik contohnya kan.
Still on hockey, the national men's hockey five-a-side team have the potential to mark their debut in the Thailand SEA Games 2025 with a gold medal, based on their experience and other previous achievements. Men's team manager Hasnizam Hassan said they have conducted a thorough training and selection process, thus increasing their confidence of striking gold at the biennial games. He added Malaysia's achievement in emerging as runners-up in the 2024 Men's FIH Hockey's 5-on-5 World Cup has made the men's team among the front-runners for the first edition of the Hockey 5-on-5 at the SEA Games.
Barisan pasukan lelaki ni, kalau kita tengok pada kejayaan sebelum ni adalah nak johan pada kejohanan World Cup di Oman yang lalu, di Oman dan barisan diberasi oleh beberapa orang pemain yang pernah mewakili Malaysia, iaitu dalam Sukan Olimpik Remaja pada 2013 dan juga Piala Dunia Hoki pada 2024.
However, Hasnizam does not want to take lightly the challenges that the national squad will face, as the performance of other countries' teams is also improving. Moving on to local football, Terengganu Football Club Sendirian Berhad TFCSB marked a significant milestone when it strengthened its international network by signing a strategic cooperation agreement with Indonesian football giant Persija Jakarta. The agreement signing ceremony took place in Jakarta in conjunction with Persija Jakarta's 97th anniversary. It was attended by TFCSB Chief Executive Officer Sheikh Farouk Sheikh Muhammad, TFCSB Chief Operating Officer Muhammad Shahrizan Muhammad Zain, and Persija Jakarta President Muhammad Prapanca. TFC said the cooperation encompasses the exchange of technical knowledge, player and staff development, marketing opportunities, as well as football tourism initiatives between the two clubs. The collaboration is also expected to open up new spaces in improving professionalism, team quality, and regional relations between Malaysia and Indonesia. At the same time, TFC hopes that the cooperation can be the beginning of joint programs, cultural exchanges, and stronger relations between the two clubs and supporters. Iran is expected to boycott next week's draw for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the US in protest at the limited allocation of visas. The US has long-standing strict visa restrictions on Iranians for political and security reasons. Federation spokesman Amir Mehdi Alavi was quoted as saying that the US had granted visas to 4 members of the Iranian delegation. They include head coach Amir Galinoy. But a visa had not been granted to Iranian Football Federation President Mehdi Taj. Alavi added, the decision followed what Iran described as unsportsmanlike actions by the US authorities relating to the 5th December draw in Washington, D.C. The Federation said it had been in contact regarding the matter with FIFA for 2 days and informed President Gianni Infantino and the Secretary General. Iran secured qualification for the World Cup in March after a 2-2 draw with Uzbekistan in Tehran, sealing a 7th appearance at the tournament and 4th in a row. Don't go anywhere, as colorful stories await you in our offbeat segment. Stay tuned. Thousands of New Yorkers lined Manhattan Street on Thursday to watch the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, a holiday tradition featuring giant balloons, elaborate floats, and performances from popular artists. Beloved characters including Dora the Explorer, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Spider-Man drifted above the crowds, while newer floats like Gabby's Dollhouse drew cheers from spectators. Performers EJ, Audrey Huna, and Rayami, the singing voices behind the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, took the spotlight with a rendition of Golden. The parade concluded with the arrival of Santa Claus, signaling the unofficial start of Christmas festivities. Meanwhile, the Times Square New Year's Eve Constellation Ball rose above One Times Square, marking its first public unveiling after a major 9-year redesign. The ascent offered an early look at the upgraded centerpiece that will lead the 2025 into 2026 celebration, continuing a tradition that began in 1907. Tom Harris, president of the Times Square Alliance, described the redesign as a labor of love. The new ball spans 12.5 feet in diameter and weighs more than 12,000 pounds, making it the biggest iteration so far. It carries 5,280 circular Waterford crystals, twice as many as the previous design, and introduces 3 crystal sizes, each tied to a new annual theme. The 2025 set includes Infinite Joy, Infinite Light, and Infinite Beginnings. Along with a more advanced lighting and motion system, the ball debuts an interactive audio feature that generates visual patterns in real time, further modernizing the focal point of the world's most watched New Year's Eve celebration. Gummy bears, licorice and candy canes were on display in London for the delicious Gingerbread City exhibition. The 9th annual Gingerbread City exhibition features 50 architect-designed gingerbread buildings, including creative spins on some of London's famous landmarks, such as Elizabeth Tower and the Houses of Commons. The UHA design team built a licorice-themed Parliament display, which the practice's head of brand and creative, Joseph Goodwin, described as their British Parliament reenactment.
So a gummy bear, Rachel Reeves, here is delivering a licorice also themed red budget to Parliament, which is covered in other licorice also papers and the rest. There's no other sweets really in there, unfortunately. It's just the licorice also and the gummy bears.
It features rows of colourful gummy bears seated on tiny benches like members of Parliament in the House of Commons. This year's exhibition opens to the public from today and runs until the 4th of January next year. The German city of Dortmund illuminated what it said is the world's tallest Christmas tree, drawing hundreds of spectators to its annual festive market to witness the spectacle. The city asserts the 45-meter-high structure is the tallest Christmas tree made entirely of real trees, though this remains unverified. The massive installation consists of 1,200 individual red spruce trees, weighing around 40 tons in total. At 4 meters tall, the angle at the top stands taller than most standard Christmas trees, while 138,000 LED lights provide the illumination.
Ich bin ein Fan davon. Wir machen das jedes Jahr, gucken wir uns das an, finden das ausgesprochen schön. Ja? Und das wird verbunden mit dem ersten Glühwein und dem ersten Reibekuchen. Ja, so sieht das aus bei uns.
The tree has been erected in Dortmund every year since 1996 as the centerpiece of the city's Christmas market, known as Christmas City. More than 300 stalls around the structure, which performs a 2-minute light show at the top of every hour. And we hope you enjoyed that. Now, that wraps up World Today. Our top story, Airbus issues major A320 recall request modifications to 6,000 planes. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. Alternatively, you can stream us live on RTM Click's website and mobile application. Now, we take you back with visuals of Gingerbread City exhibition in London, UK. Till then, I'm Brendan Paul. Salam Malaysia Madani. Have a great weekend. Take care.